India is all set to receive its first all-electric luxury vehicle later this year.
But before we tell you more about this car, let's talk about the luxury car segment in the country. For the time being, it's Mercedes, BMW and Audi, with Mercedes-Benz ruling the roost. Yes, and BMW is now coming in second, but Audi, well, it still lags behind. What we do know is BMW is coming out with all new cars. So it will have the youngest model portfolio among the three manufacturers. Mercedes cars still await updates. And Audi, well, it's not bringing in any new cars so soon. So yes, it's turbulent times for the company as far as sales are concerned as well. But then it needed a move that, well, basically was out of the box thinking. And with this car, it's not only just moved out of the box, it's jumped a fence and moved on to greener pastures. And those greener pastures means, well, green cars. So here it is, the Audi e-tron, and we wait to see what Audi does with it and what kind of strategy it follows with it.
The e-tron is based on the modified MLB Evo platform, and yes, it is an SUV. Well, what else would it have been given the global trend? The front end gets an octagonal grille with active flaps, and these LED headlamps along with the daytime running lights give it a signature look. There is no aggression though, and that's okay. Viewed in profile, the e-tron SUV has a typical crossover silhouette, and when it comes to size, it sits between the Audi Q5 and the Audi Q7, though not in India. The rear of the SUV is characterized by a sloping roofline along with the LED tail lights which run across the boot of the SUV. Overall, the design of the Audi e-tron is not a far cry from its Q range of SUVs, but still distinguishes itself from its other SUV siblings because it looks more contemporary. The cabin of the Audi e-tron too is contemporary rather than being overly futuristic. There are hardly any buttons in the cabin, with all the controls being distributed between the three display panels on the dashboard. The party piece on the Audi e-tron SUV are the virtual camera rear-view mirrors. These wing mirrors on the car are basically high-definition cameras which project the rear-view image inside the cabin on two display screens mounted on the front doors, and that's very cool. The SUV has seating for 5 people, and there's enough space at the front and rear. There's a touch panel and USB ports at the rear for the passenger's convenience. As far as luggage space goes, the e-tron can swallow in 660 liters worth of luggage at the rear. There is an additional 60 liters of space under the hood of the car which can be used to store tools and charging wires.
By now, of course, you want to know what powers this beast, and it's basically the 432 cells under the 36 modules that you get, and all are placed under the car, that is below the rear seat and right up to front. So it's like a double bed basically, where all these batteries are laid around. Yes, a total, and this battery sends power to the electric motors. There are two, one up front and one at the rear. Now this one has a rear bias, so like all Audis, right? So 355 brake horsepower on offer. In boost mode, that goes up to 405 brake horsepower. And torque is available, well, from the word go. It's an electric after all, isn't it? 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in boost mode is, well, 5.7 seconds, and normal is 6.6 seconds. So yes, this can do a pretty good sprint, and yes, more like a sports car than just an electric SUV.
The e-tron is a milestone for Audi, and to bring it to India is a bold move, considering infrastructure in the country for EVs is still not up to par. So the question now is about positioning.
Audi plans to bring the e-tron to India this year itself. Yes, by the end of this year, the Audi e-tron will be launched, but it will not be a cheap car. It's going to have a very niche and premium price, 1 crore 50 lakh rupees. That's what we are looking at. And yes, internationally it might sit between the Q5 and the Q7, but this one will sit right on top when it comes to India, and that's because of the subsidy that we have, or we don't have rather, but the kind of taxes that are generated for electric cars in the country. So, lot to expect from this move, and we are very sure that Mercedes-Benz and even BMW are watching Audi's move very closely.